Think you know the 1961 Chrysler Imperial? Not so fast. This Royal rolls in with spaceship styling, oddball gadgets, and quirks even hardcore Mopar fans miss. Buckle up for 10 wild facts that'll make you do a double take, jaw, meet floor. If you enjoy this, please like, subscribe, and tap the bell to help the channel grow. Neoclassical freestanding headlamps. The 1961 Imperial's front end featured freestanding headlight pods mounted on short stalks, protruding from cutaway fenders, a striking retro touch by designer Virgil Exner, harking back to 1930s classics. This exposed dual headlamp design was highly unusual in its era. Most cars had integrated or enclosed headlights. Interestingly, hidden headlamps were initially considered but deemed too costly, leading to the distinctive floating light pods instead. The result was a bold, almost neoclassical face that set the Imperial apart from more conventionally styled competitors. Soaring tail fins and gunsight taillights. The 61 Imperial carried enormous tail fins, in fact, the largest ever used on an Imperial, extending high and wide off the rear fenders. At their tips sat round, chrome-framed taillights, often dubbed gunsight or sparrow strainer lights by enthusiasts, that looked like jet afterburners, underscoring the car's jet-age flair. This flamboyant finned look was a swan song for the 1950s tailfin era. By 1961, Cadillac had already toned down its fins from the record-high 59 model, and Lincoln's new Continental dispensed with fins entirely. Thus, the Imperial's gigantic fins made a brash statement, just as the rest of Detroit was moving towards cleaner, slab-sided design. High-powered 413 Wedge V8. Under the hood, the 1961 Imperial packed a 413 cubic-inch RB V8 engine, nicknamed the Wedge for its wedge-shaped combustion chambers, delivering around 350 horsepower and 470 torque. This gave the Imperial a clear power advantage over its rivals, roughly 25 horsepower more than Cadillac's 390 V8 and 50 horsepower more than Lincoln's 430 V8 that year. In practice, the big Imperial could hustle surprisingly well for a 5,000-plus pound luxury car, with 0 to 60 in under 10 seconds, and a top speed on the order of 125 miles per hour. That prodigious torque and the smooth TorqueFlite 3-speed push-button automatic transmission made for effortless cruising and confident passing power on early 60s highways. Torsion air suspension and superior handling. The Imperial's road manners belied its bulk. Chrysler equipped all Imperials with its advanced Torsion Air torsion bar front suspension and a stout anti-sway bar, giving it flatter cornering and a more controlled ride than many competitors of the time. Unlike the softly sprung Cadillacs, the Imperial was often noted as the driver's car among 1960s luxury barges. Contemporary tester Tom McCahill quipped that the Imperial cornered at speed flatter than a tournament billiard table, remarkable for a car nearly 19 feet long. The combination of the torsion bar setup and an extra-rigid chassis endowed the 61 Imperial with handling and steering response that impressed automotive journalists, finger-light power steering notwithstanding. Space-age interior and dash tech. Inside, the 1961 Imperial embraced a futuristic aesthetic. The dashboard lighting was electroluminescent, marketed as panelescent lighting. Instead of bulbs, an electrical charge made the instrument panel glow in a cool blue-green hue with bright red indicator needles. This tech, shared only with a few Chrysler models, gave the dash a space-age ambience, accompanied by a very faint hum from the power inverter. The steering wheel was squared off at the top and bottom, an unusual rectangular shape intended to improve the driver's sightlines and legroom. In addition, the Imperial's dash featured push-button controls for the automatic transmission on the left and climate radio touch tuner controls on the right, laid out in symmetrical pods. All these elements combined to make the Imperial's cockpit look like something from a rocket ship, a dramatic blend of luxury and jet-age innovation. Optional flight sweep deck lid. One of the 1961 Imperial's most novel and controversial styling options was the flight sweep deck lid, a simulated spare tire bulge stamped into the trunk lid, complete with a peaked chrome eagle emblem. This faux Continental kit was a favorite motif of Virgil Exner, a nod to classic touring cars, and was previously seen on some 50s Chrysler show cars. Critics, however, derisively nicknamed it the toilet seat for its appearance. The flight sweep deck lid was an extra cost option in 1961, and not officially offered on the '62 Imperial, though many owners later swapped one on. Love it or hate it, the feature is an instant identifier of a '61 Imperial and epitomizes the car's over-the-top swagger in an era trending toward restraint. America's longest and widest car in 1961. The downsizing of competitor vehicles left the Imperial reigning as the largest car on the road that year. The Imperial stretched a massive 227.1 inches in length, and after a mid-year stretch to 227.8 inches in 1963, it remained the longest non-limousine American production car through 1966. Even more impressive was its width. At 81.7 inches across, the 1961-63 Imperial holds the record for the widest American car without limousine modifications. For context, it was several inches wider than a '61 Cadillac. This gargantuan size gave the Imperial an imposing presence and palatial interior room. Front shoulder room was an astonishing 64 inches, a record unmatched until the early '70s. Parking one required caution, but on the open road, the Imperial had an authentic road-hugging gravity about it. Struggles in the early '60s luxury market. Despite its engineering merits, the 1961 Imperial faced an uphill battle against Cadillac and Lincoln in the showroom. Only about 12,258 Imperials were sold for '61, a tiny fraction of Cadillac's output that year. Cadillac sold over 130,000 cars in 1961, including 66,000 of the entry Series '62 alone. No single Imperial model that year exceeded 5,000 units in sales. The car's eccentric styling and the Imperial marque's lesser prestige were largely to blame for its limited appeal. While mechanically comparable or superior to its competitors, the Imperial was seen by some buyers as a glorified Chrysler with gaudy looks. Collectibility and Legacy. Today, the 1961 Imperial is considered a standout example of Virgil Exner's bold design philosophy and has a devoted following, though it remains a more obscure collectible than contemporary Cadillacs. Its rarity contributes to its appeal. Total production was low, and the convertible is especially scarce. Only 429 Imperial Crown convertibles were built in 1961. Those open-top models, with their glamour and low numbers, are the most sought after. Collectors drool over well-preserved convertibles, which can command high prices at auction. In December 2021, this car was sold at auction for a record price of more than $143,000. That said, closed-roof Imperials are relatively undervalued, making them an attractive entry into '60s American luxury.